Okay, hello everyone. All right, this is week 3 presentation. We're going to talk about rates, ratio, and proportion. And for word problems, we're going to touch on into percentages. Okay. All right, so let's start with this first problem. We need to write this ratio or rate as a fraction in its simplest form. Okay. So we have this. Oops. Doesn't seem like my pen tablet is working. Just give me a second. I gotta find the connection. Hold on. All right. So it wasn't my pen tablet. It was the actual tablet itself was not connected. All right. So let's get started. All right. So here we have a ratio of $70 to 133. Okay. And to put it in the simplest form, as a fraction, all we have to do is put it as 70 over 133. Okay. And at that point, we need to simplify. All right, so we did that in week 2, right? So we need to be able to simplify this. And hopefully there's a common factor between 70 and 133, right? So I believe it has to be either 7 or nothing else, right? So if it's divisible by, well, it could be something else. But I believe it's, if you divide 70 by 7, and the same thing with the 133, we should get, let's see. So 133 divided by 7 should give us 19. 70 divided by 7 is 10. So it's 10 over 19. Okay. All right. So let's do the same thing for the next one. All right. So I'm going to kind of skip around, do the ones that I feel like they're very difficult to do. So let's look at this one here. It is a ratio, but it is a ratio that involves mixed fractions. So it's a little bit more complex here. Actually, that's the word of it. It's going to turn into a complex fraction. All right, so as usual, we want to turn this mixed fraction into a proper fraction. So here we have 5 times 3, 15, 15 plus 2, 17. So we have 17 over 5, right? That's the equivalence. We do the same thing with the second one. Is 7 times 7 is 49. 49 plus 4 is 53 over 7. Okay? So we need to put that as a fraction. Actually, it's going to be a fraction over another fraction. So let's put it that way. 17 over 5 over 53 over 7. Right? So at this point, what we want to do is that if it's a fraction divided by a fraction, right? That big fractional bar here is a division. So we know how to deal with division of two fractions. We turn it into a multiplication and we multiply by the reciprocal of the second fraction, right? So let's put it that way. It's going to be 17 over 5. And I'm just going to put divided, right? To show that this fractional bar becomes division, right? Divided by 53 over 7. And then I turn it into a multiplication because that's the rule. And we got 17 over 5 times the reciprocal, right? Reciprocal of 53 over 7, which is 7 over 53. Okay? All right, so let's see if we can simplify certain things. Maybe 17 goes into 53. Let me see. So 50. I don't see anything changing or simplifying. So we're just going to multiply across. So we have 17 times 7. That's 119. And then 5 times 53. 265. Okay? So nothing's going to simplify here. This is the final answer. Okay, and it's a proper fraction, so it's definitely not going to simplify further. All right, so what do we have here? Find the unit rate, right? So rates. So now we have rates, right? So meaning we have different units now. And finding units is just that you're gonna have either before we had units that man to man, dollars to dollars, and so on. Now we're gonna have uh, a, it's not a ratio, it's a rate. You know, miles per hour. You know, students per teachers, and so on. Okay, so that's basically what we're gonna do, and we want to find that unit rate. Okay, and we do that by simplifying. So let's get started. So you have 2280 miles over, we put it in fraction because we want to simplify, 50 over 50 hours. All right, so this simplified. So you have the two zeros there. We can get rid of that, right? And usually when we talk about unit rate, we want it over one. To, you know, we want it to simplify to the lowest term, right? And so here in this case, we wanted to have it over 1 hour at the most, right? So what is 228 divided by 5? So let's use our calculator. 228 divided by 5. That's 45.6. So my answer for the unit rate is going to be that person is going to have 45.6 miles in 1 hour. Usually you don't put one, but you just put miles per hour. Okay, that will be the average rate for this one. Okay, so we have the answer. So let's do the same thing for another one, right? So let's do this one. All right, so here we have 390 students. So we want to see the ratio per students per teachers. So 390 students for 10 teachers. And the unit rate will be, so let's get rid of the zeros because everything is divided by by 10, I'm sorry. And 39 divided by 1 is 39. So the rate is, or the ratio is 39 students per teachers, right? You can put over or per teacher. Right? So in that school of 390 students with 10 teachers, the average will be for each teacher is to have 39 students in their class. That's what's happening. All right, moving on. All right, so it's still a problem of, of ratio rates, but here we have to determine the better buy, right? So here we have a cream rinse, and we want to know what's the better buy, right? So here we have 21 ounce for $1.39, and then here we have 10 ounces for 75 cents. So we need to figure out which one is the better deal. Okay. All right. So let's figure it out. What I want, I need to know the amount of dollars. So basically, what I'm gonna set up $1.39 over 21 cents. 21 ounce. So dollars over ounce, right? Because I want to know how many dollars I have for per ounce, right? So let's figure it out. So 1.39, oops, divided by 21. and I get 0.006. 0.066, right? Dollars, right? Well, a $0.06 is really cents, right? So it would be about 6 cents per ounce, right? So let me just put dollars, but we understand this is 6 cents. Um, uh, and then we put per ounce, okay? And let's look at the other one, and let's see what's gonna is 0.75 or 75 cents. Oops, do it twice. Over 10 ounce. All right. So just by looking at it, you would think maybe, the 75 cents would be the better price. But when we do that, we actually get 0.075 cents per ounce. And we know that this is the better buy because 0.066 is less than 0.075. Okay? All right. So that's how you handle those type of problems. All right. Let me sip on my little coffee here. All right. So now let's get to proportion. All right. So proportion is basically you were trying to determine if two fractions are equal to each other. And the way to do that is to do some type of cross multiplication, right? So proportion to determine if two fractions are equal to each other. So basically, if you have A over B is equal to C over D, you need to use cross multiplication to determine if one side is equal to the other. All right, so it's going to be A times D is equal to B times C. And that's basically what we're trying to do here. So here we have 15 times 6 is equal to 18 times 5. So let's see if that's going to pan out. This is it's going to be 80, I believe. And this is going to be 18 times 5 is 80. No. 18 times 5. 90. It's 90. So those two, this proportion is not true. So those two fractions are not equivalent. Okay? All right. All right, so kind of the same thing, but we have to write it out as two proportion. So here, the first part, it said 96 computer is to 106 students as 108 computers is to 180. All right, so basically the way you have to put that is going to be 96 computers is to 160 students as it is for, meaning equivalent to 108 computers is to 180 students. Okay, so basically you want to match the numerator. Both of them have to be computers, right? The numerator having computers, and the denominators students to students, or it has to be the other way around. You could write it, but the way it's written, right? This is the way you want it, but technically you could put it the other way, but you will get the same answer. But the way it's written, that's the way you want it. So I'm not going to show the other part. All right, let's move on. All right, so now more proportion, but now it comes in a way that you have to find the missing or the unknown value, right? That is replaced by the letter N here. All right, so let's get started. All right, so here we have N over 39 equal to 7 over 13. Okay, so we're trying to find N. We're going to use a cross multiplication, so we're going to have 13 times N is equal to 39 times 7. 39 times 7. And 13 times N is equal to 39 times 7 is, let me use my calculator here, 39 times 7 is 273. So let me put the times here, 273, right? This is a one-step equation, even though we didn't cover equation, but you should be familiar with how to solve for N, especially a one-step equation. So this is 13 times N. In order to solve for N, because it's times between those two, you need to divide to cancel out the 13. So you divide by 13 here, you divide by 13 here, and you get N is equal to 273 over 13. Cannot be really simplified, so, well, maybe you can. So 273 divided by 13 is 21. So it's just 21. I thought it would have been a mixed fraction, but it is a whole number. And we are business. We have the answer. So basically, they're saying that 21 over 39 is equivalent to 7 over 13. That's basically what they're saying. All right. Okay, so let's do one more. And then we'll do kind of the same thing, but with word problems. Okay. So 8 over N. So let's do the cross multiplication from the get-go. So it's going to be 8 times 1.5 equal to 0.5 times N, right? 8 times 1.5 is 8 times 1.5 is equal to 12, equal to 0.5 N. Okay, we solve for N, so therefore it's 0.5 times N. We need to divide to get rid of the 0.5 here, and we need to divide by 0.5 on both sides. 0.5 by 0.5 is 1, 1N is just N, and 12 divided by 0.5 is 24. So 24 is equal to N. Okay. All right. Oh, man. Sorry. Stuff is frustrating me here. Okay. All right. So I'm not going to do a lot of, let's do one word problem. It doesn't matter which one. Let's do one that maybe the answer is going to be in fractional form. I'm not quite sure. But anyway, so the standard dose of a medicine, the standard dose of medicine for a dog is 10 grams for every 15 pounds of body weight. Okay, so what is the standard dose of it for a dog that weighs 100 pounds? Okay, so you use proportion. So you have a set of information already, which is, let me highlight it, 10 grams for every 15 pounds of body weight. So you put it as a ratio, right? So 10 grams over 15 pounds lbs, right, of body weight. Okay, so that's your first ratio. Now they're asking you what would be the standard dose for a dog that weighs 100 pounds, right? So the only information here, I don't know what is the standard dose in terms of grams. So I put it as X grams, right? But I do know the number of pounds of that dog, which is 100 pounds. Okay? And then now I'm going to do exactly as I did in the previous two problems. I'm going to cross multiply and solve for X. That's all I have to do. So here I have 10 times 100. And over there I have 15 times X. Let me just put a dot. 15 times X. And then I'll just solve for X, right? Because that's what I'm looking for, the standard dose for a dog where the weight would be 100 pounds. All right, so here I have 1,000 equal to 15 times X, 15X. And then here I'm going to have to divide by 15 on both sides to get X. And X is equal to 1,000 divided by 15. Let's see what it gives me. Give me a decimal number of 66.6666. So I'm assuming it's going to be 66 over 15 first, right? And then 66 times 15. To remember what we did with mixed fractions is 990. And 990 to get to 1,000 is 10. So 66 times 15 is 990. You add 10 and you get 1,000, right? But here, it is a proper fraction, but we can simplify it. So we have 5 as a common factor, so divide this by 5, you get 2. Divide by this by 5, and you get 3. So it's going to be 66 and 2/3. So 66 and 2/3 gram is your final answer. Okay? So that's it. That's how you do those type of problems. The other ones, you're always going to be given some type of, right? Currently, 25 out of 50 American adults drink coffee every day. Now, in a town of 8,300 adults, how many adults do you expect to drink coffee? Just set up your ratios or proportion, and you go from there. All right, so now let's move on to percentages. Come on. Sorry. Yeah, I need to. All right, so let's go writing. So here we get into percentages and so on. So where was I? Okay. All right, so writing the percentage as a fraction or mixed number in its simplest form. All right, so the percent, oops. All right, so the percent sign means what? Divided by 100. That's basically what it means, right? Percent sign means divided by 100. So if I say 240%, I really mean 240 divided by 100. Very straightforward. And then after that, you simplify, right? So you have 24 divided by, well, you divide both by 10, and you lose the zeros there. And then you're left with 24 over 10. Divide this by 10. Actually, I cannot put it as a, so I need to divide by 2, I'm sorry. Divide by 2, you get 12. Divide by 2, you get 5, right? Can I put that as a mixed number? Yeah, if I wanted to, but they didn't do that. I don't know why, but it could be 2 and 2/5. That's what it should have been, because they're asking me to put it as a fraction or mixed number. They chose this. Anyway, all right, so that was that for, come on. All right, so now the other way around, we want to write stuff from a fraction to a mixed number. A fraction to a percentage. You use a calculator, right? So you're going to do 16 divided by 25 is going to give you a number. All right, 16 divided by 25, that gives you 0.64. That's your first step. Then, second step is to multiply this number, whatever it is, whether it's a decimal number or a number, then you take it and you multiply by 100, and you get 64, right? And then third part will be to add that percentage sign. And that's it. Okay? So any of those problems that you have there, right? So for example, this one might be a little bit different in terms of the step. So first, put it as a improper fraction. So it's going to be 21 over 4. First step. Second step, put it as a decimal form by doing 21 divided by 4. Right? 21 divided by 4. And you get 5.25. And then 3. Take that number, multiply by 100. So 5.25 times 100. That gives me 525. And then last step, put a percentage sign next to it. And that's it. That's 525% is equal to 5 1/4. Okay? Alright, so let me stop this for a second. Alright. Now let's continue on with percentages, but in word problems. Alright, so let's learn how to set them up first, and then this stuff gets on. Just let me get into my settings. Just give me. Alright, so word problems with percentages. Let's set up those problems. So here you have an unknown, and you need to solve for that unknown, right? So let's translate that. So what number, unknown, and we're going to label that as x, then is, meaning equal, 23%, and we're going to turn that 23% as a decimal number, and 23 divided by 100 is a 0.23, and then of means times, so times 60. That's the translation. Okay, mathematically, and so all you have to do is solve for x, right? So 0.23. Let me use my calculator. 0.23 times 60 is 13.8, and that is it. Okay, so let's do another one. All right, so let's translate. 0.5% is 0.005, right? Times because of means multiplication. So multiplication, I'll put it as a dot because I'm going to put something, a letter after that. Of what number? We don't know what that is, so it's an unknown. So I'm putting x. Is means equal 6.5. All right, so here we have to solve for x, right? And we saw that earlier. So that means that if it's a multiplication between 0.005 and x, I need to divide by the value in front of the x in order to solve for x. Oops, I need 2 zeros and a 5. And do the same thing on the other side. And I will find what x is equal to. All right, so let's do that. 0.005. Oh, I'm sorry. 6.5 divided by 0.005. And that gives me 1,300. So 1,300 is the answer. All right. So another one. 480 is what percent of 640? So let's translate it. So we have 480 is equal what percent? That's X percent. Okay? So you got to remember that this value here, if we just put X, that's fine. But you have to remember that it is actually a percentage that you are looking for. Okay? So X percent of, meaning times 640. Okay? So let me write this as 480 equal to 640X. Right? And to solve for X, you need to divide both sides by 640. And that means that X is equal to 48 over 64. And divide that, and I get X is equal to, what is 48? 48 divided by 64. That's 0.75. Okay? So 0.75 is not a percentage. It's a decimal number. So we need to represent the percentage of 0.75. So you multiply by 100, and you get X is equal to 75%. And that's it. 75% it is. Okay? So you literally translate from this to a mathematical expression, then solve. To a mathematical equation, and then solve. Alright, so let's do kind of the same thing here. Let's do one or two problems. Yeah, let's do 3 problems that you're going to see. Let's do this one first. Alright, so if the sales tax is 9.3%, right? So you're going to a store, you're trying to buy a TV, and that TV is $862. That would be very expensive nowadays, because I just bought a 55 inches for $280. So 862 is very, very high these days. But anyway, so you want to buy a TV for $862, and you're anticipating the final price to be such and such, but you need to know the sales tax, right? So how do you get to your guessing, not guessing, to the accurate value of the TV with the sales tax? Okay, so first you need to the tax amount, right? How much I'm going to be taxed. So tax amount is going to be $862 times 9.3%, which we put as a decimal number. So it's going to be 0.093, right? That's going to be my tax amount. What does that give me? 862 times 0.093. That gives me $80.17. $80.17 when I round up. Okay? That's the tax. That's why I'm going to be taxed on this purchase. Now, I want a total amount. And that would be the price of the TV, 862 plus $80.17, which is the tax amount. You add those two, and you should get $942.17. That should be your final price. Okay? All right, so let's look at another one here. All right, so this one, you need to find the percent increase of a population of bacteria that went from 80 millions to 180 millions, right? And usually percent increase or decrease is calculated in the following way. You find the difference between the original amount of the population and the final one. So you want the difference over, and then the difference is going to be divided by the original amount, right? So that's it. So in this case, the percent increase will be 180 million, right? Minus 80 million. That's how you calculate the difference. But the original population of that bacteria, in this case, was 80 million. Okay, so you divide by 80 million. So 180 minus 80 is 100. You divide by 80. And let's see what we get here. 100 divided by 80. That's 1.25. And then you multiply that 1.25 by 100. Oops. Too many zeros. And you get 125%. Okay? 125% is your answer. Okay, so that's that. Now the last one, let me see. Maybe another one. All right, so you have a $340 dress is on sale for 40% off. Find the discount and the sale price. Okay, so I want to calculate 40% off from the $340 dress. All right, well, the discount price is going to be as follows. It would be the 340 times the 40%, right? Which is, in decimal form, is 0.40, all right, or 0.4. All right, so you calculate that 340 times 0.4, you get $136 discount. Now I want the sale price, right? So discounted price, sale price is equal to the total amount, which is the price of the, not total amount, the price of the dress, 340, but because of the discount now, I'm subtracting 136, right? So 340 minus 136 is 204. Okay? And that's it. That's how you calculate the sale price. All right. So we, okay. Let's do maybe two more. Yeah. Let me see. A sale representative is paid commission. Found a commission if for sales is okay. This one is interesting. Well, no, this one is pretty straightforward. Yeah. So let's skip that. Okay, this one is a little bit more interesting. So here we have a tax of $2,674 is added to a bulk orders price of $38,200. Find the sales tax rate. We need to find tax rate. So we need to set up our equation, right? So what do we know here? So we know that Okay, so how? So what do we know so far? I'm sorry, I'm blanking out. We know that the interest rate, or the interest amount, I'm sorry. So interest amount is equal to the principal times the rate times the time, right? Um, so it's PRT, right? But here we don't have time, so it's just one. That's just, we don't need that in this case. It's just a one. But this interest amount is basically your principal times your rate. And so if I have my interest amount already, so a tax of 2,674, which is right here, right, is equal to my principal, which is 38,200, right? All I have to do is find my rate. Okay, so that's my interest amount, and this is how I find, my rate. So basically, I have to divide by 38,200. So 38,200, and what do I get? I get 2674 divided by 38,200, and that's equal to 7.07. 0.07. So the rate is equal to, 0.07, which is equivalent to 7%. Okay. Okay. Now let's all right, so what do we have here? Find the simple interest earned on 11,400 saved for 4.5 years at an interest rate of 14%. All right, so here they're just asking us what we call the simple interest earned, okay, which I alluded to right here. But here this is not it's the same concept. I just used the the principal, or the amount, the price times the rate, or the tax rate, that would be equal to the tax, right? That's basically the same principle, but a simple interest rate is usually over time, right? And so that's why we have, so it's going to be the same formula. So the simple interest rate is I, is equal to the principal, which is 11,400. That's principal. This is the rate, and this is the time in years. And the formula is basically PRT. So if I'm interested in finding this, all I have to do is multiply 11,400 times 14%, or 0.14, times 4.5, 4.5 years. Right? T is always expressed in terms of years, right? So if I multiply those values, is 11,400 plus 0.14 plus, actually I'm saying plus, but everything has to be multiplied. So 11,400 times 0.14 times, I still wanted to say plus, times 4.5, and that gives me 7,182, right? That's the interest accumulated after 4.5 years, right? So added to, so if it's a saving account, at the end of 4.5 years, you add this amount to 11,400. So that's it. All right. Um, well, here they're giving you, yeah. So that's it. Okay. So that's it for today. So I'm gonna post that in a bit.